What's up, guys? Welcome back to our podcast, A Court of Heaven and Hell. I'm Lauren, aka Heaven.
And I'm Ellie. I'm also known as Hel.
And if you don't already know, we are a book podcast that focuses on different romantasy novels and series. We're currently covering A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas, and today we'll be covering chapters 52 through 60. This episode will include plot summaries of each chapter, as well as discussions on characters, foreshadowing, themes, and world building before we get into our theories and Massverse connections. With that being said, at this time, I want to go ahead and give a big spoiler warning. We are fully diving in, so we may need to speak about the other books that occur in this series. So if you have not finished all 5 books in the ACOTAR series, then save this video and come back to join us when you're done. If you have, then you're safe to ride along with us until we get to the theories and connections part.
Also, please see our show notes for content and trigger warnings. We are an explicit podcast. I do want to say this episode is going to be graphic, so please keep that in mind and make sure you check out the content warnings. Also, check out our past episodes where we deep dive into the rest of the Sarah J. Maas universe. We have so many episodes out now about ACOTAR, ACOMAS, Crescent City 1 through 3. There's plenty to dive into. Lastly, take some time to rate and review us, or if you're watching this video on YouTube, please like and subscribe and make sure to let us know your thoughts in the comments. And now let's get into the chapters of Mist and Fury.
Let's go ahead and start off with chapter 52. Feyre is at the cabin taking time to reflect on what she just learned. She starts with a bath, but is driven out by thoughts of her and Rhys being mates. It's all she can focus on while she makes herself food and reflects on how things could have been different if she'd known. She wakes the next day still reeling. She doesn't know whether to be upset or if she understands his decision. She realizes that maybe she didn't handle the situation in the best way and thinks she shouldn't have walked away from him. Alone and bored out of her mind, Feyre starts going through things at the cabin and finds some mundane things. She pictures the inner circle staying there, simply being a family, and how they were like her family too. One she'd never had. In her search, she discovers some painting supplies, and for the first time in a long time, Feyre begins to paint. She paints all day long, only stopping to sleep, and then continues the next day. When Moore comes to check on her, she steps inside, seeing that instead of using paper like a normal person, Feyre has been busy redecorating the cabin itself. She's painted images of the seasons and pieces of the inner circle all throughout the main room. Moore seems to like the paintings and encourages her to do more. She tells Feyre about the trips the boys used to make up here every year before Under the Mountain and adventures they all had as a family. She encourages Feyre to at least hear Rhys out and ask if it would really be so bad to be his mate, a part of their court and family, and Feyre knows the answer is no. Chapter 53. After spending a night and dropping off enough supplies, Moore winnows home. Feyre waves goodbye, watching her vanish, and then begins to explore the area around the cabin. While she does this, she daydreams about what her life will be like once she gets back to Valaris. She dreams of opening an art studio to teach others how to paint. She dreams of days filled with laughter and fun with Rhys, and nights filled with shared secrets and stories. She dreams of a future, one she would do anything to protect. She spends 5 days painting the rest of the cabin and finally grows tired of her own company. It's perfect timing because Moore starts banging on the door, but when she goes to answer, it's not Moore who walks in. All right, guys, I hope you like listening to me talk because I'm about to do it for a long ass time. Okay, buckle up. We are at the famous chapter 54. Okay, probably one of my favorite chapters in all of literature. Okay, so here we go. Staring at each other, Feyre takes Rhys in and knows if she chooses to dismiss him, he will leave. Thinking nothing but good things about Rhys, but not ready to let him know, Feyre moves to the side and lets him in. Rhys takes in the painting Feyre has done and specifically hones in on the eyes, asking why she didn't paint his. Tired of the bullshit, Feyre is completely honest, telling him that at first she was too upset, then afraid of his rejection, then too worried about loving them and wasting her time pathetically staring at them all day. Grease looks amused slightly, but moves on quickly, not wanting it to show. Taking in his appearance, Feyre asks if he flew there, and he says he did. Moore wouldn't share her location, but he knew there was a few safe options. Not wanting to alert Hybern with his magic, he flew there, and the journey took a little while. He tells her he completely healed thanks to her actions, and Feyre offers to fix him something to eat. This seems to be a big deal to Reese, and he's almost shocked she would offer. He explains to her that it is an important moment when a female offers her mate food for the first time, the sentiment going back to a more carnal time for the Fae. He says some couples make a big deal of it with the ceremony and such, but essentially it means that the female accepts the mating bond. Feyre responds by saying, "Tell me everything," and Reese reads into the silent offer that goes along with it. Tell her the truth, and she will decide whether to accept at the end. And Reese does. He tells her how he was captured and tortured by Amarantha's army during the war. Cassian and Azriel, in separate units, had no idea what was going on, and her soldiers used the chains from the cave to nullify his powers while they did their work. They tried their hardest, but Reese did not break. Blinded by her obsession with killing Jurian, Amarantha was unaware of the threat Reese posed. He watched her and her guards, learning their schedules, and made his plans to kill her himself, ready to sacrifice his own life. However, his plans changed when the day before he was going to end her, she faced off in battle against Jurian. Chained and forced to watch, he saw Amarantha win and take Jurian into the camp to torture him. Too caught up in what she was doing, she didn't notice Rhysand's dad arrive at the camp to rescue Rhys. Killing Jurian rather than see him freed, she fled and Rhys was rescued, but his shitty ass dad punished him just for being caught. Too injured by what had been done to him, Rhys was forced to stay home while the final battles played out and the treaty was signed. Everything changed after the war, including him, Cassian, and Azriel. After so much death, his father ordered him to let it go, but Rhys never forgave Amarantha for what she had done, and he jumped at the opportunity to get his revenge when she returned centuries later. She was unaware of who he even was, aside from the son of the man who had killed her friend. And he let her believe he was interested in a possible alliance, taking her up on an invitation to a party under the mountain, thinking that this would be his opportunity to finish her. Telling no one of his plan, he went there alone and was bested when she spelled everyone, stealing their powers and trapping them there. Rhys used the last bits of his power to protect Valaris. Amarantha immediately took out half of the Court of Nightmares as revenge for Tamlin's father, and Rhys made a decision that he would do anything to prevent her from finding out about his true court and the people he loved. Knowing that Amarantha was interested in betting him, he gave her what she wanted and more, securing his place as her whore, but steering her attention away from those he loved most. After this is when she cursed Tamlin, and Rhys saw that his other enemy would most likely be the only way to beat her. Unable to kill or physically harm her, Rhys spent 50 years playing her whore and persecutor of her enemies. Though all he could think about was ending her life, he was adept at playing his part, and over time he gained more of her trust than most. Around 3 years ago, just when Rhys had stopped hoping that he would ever make it out or see his family again, he started having dreams from someone else's perspective. Brief, foggy flashes of a simple life he thought nothing of until the day he saw a beautiful human hand painting flowers on a table. Instead of ignoring the images, this time he pushed back with his own thought of the comforting night sky, stars, and the moon. Rhys treasured those flashing images as his reminder that there was at least some peace in the world. This continued until one night when Rhys was lifted from sleep by a very vivid nightmare about the bog. The image was clear and about his kind, and Rhys realized that this most likely meant she was in Prithian and that the fog had been the wall. He tried to use the dreams to figure out who and where Feyre was, but she had so many nightmares about creatures from all courts. He was haunted by the thought of her until the day she dreamed about Callan Mai. Seeing the size of the celebration, he knew she had to be at the spring court. Using Amarantha's own paranoia against her, he convinced her he needed to go to the spring court that night to suss out any enemies that may be aiding Tamlin in breaking the curse. When he got there, he picked up on Feyre's scent and found her being harassed by the pigs whose venomous thoughts he was able to read. Without thought, he jumped in to protect her. Feyre is shaken, realizing his first words to her, "There you are. I've been looking for you," were not a lie at all. Rhys continues saying he could tell she had no idea who he was and that the visions had been one-sided. Young, utterly human, and clearly not wanting anything to do with him, he knew that if he didn't walk away from her, he would be putting her in danger from Amarantha. He was surprised when Feyre called after him like she wasn't quite ready to let him go, and realized that they were in dangerous territory and he could not see her again. He may have known even then what she truly was, but he knew he could not even think it at the risk of her safety. So he let her walk away. Returning to Under the Mountain, he gave the picks up as traitors to Amarantha for what they wanted to do to Feyre and to take the attention off of her. He was sent to the Spring Court again by Amarantha to spy on Tamlin after the success of Calanmai. Not knowing that Feyre was there, he planned to just mock Tamlin, but lost it when he realized she was and looked at Tamlin like she loved him. He decided to scare them, hoping it would get Tamlin to send her back to the human realm, and that is why he broke into her mind that day. He was so upset after he left, he was immediately sick. He only went back with Amarantha's cronies when they sacked the Spring Court to make sure Feyre had left and gave her Claire's name, thinking Feyre had made it up. Realizing his mistake when Amarantha sent her people to collect Claire, he couldn't admit his mistake without putting Feyre in more danger. He went into Claire's mind and made it painless for her, but he could not save her life, and it still haunts him. Tearing up, he continues telling her he thought the ordeal was over after Claire. Feyre was safe and Tamlin had lost, and he could accept his fate until the day the Adder brought Feyre under the mountain. He had never known such fear as when she made the bargain. He hated having to sit and watch as the Adder beat her and the hatred in her eyes when he had to threaten to break Lucian. When he finally learned her name, it was like the answer to a question he had been asking his whole life, and he decided then and there he would do anything to win. In that moment, he believed the cauldron had sent him visions of Feyre as the one who would save his people. So Rhys watched and pretended to be the person she hated. When she was injured during her first trial, he took the opportunity to make the bargain with her, knowing it would signal hope to some, keep her safe, and get back at Tamlin for the injustice he had done to his mom and sister. He explains that he made her dress like that to avoid suspicion from Amarantha and gave her the wine so she wouldn't remember the horrors of Under the Mountain. When he caught her and Tamlin that night, he was jealous and upset that Tamlin had used the opportunity to be with her instead of getting her out. Amarantha knew that he had kissed her to cover up the evidence, as well as noticed his jealousy and saw for the first time why. He was forced to service her that same night, and she questioned him during this time, fed her lies, and came to Feyre's cell after, almost confessing his secrets to her then, but he couldn't risk her knowing the truth. Then it was her final trial. When Amarantha began torturing her, he snapped. He knew what Feyre truly was when he picked up the knife to kill Amarantha, knew that even though she loved another, he would die with her until he heard her neck snap and felt her die. Desperate, he clung to the bond, knowing that if he could somehow get free, what the seven High Lords could do. Feyre remembers the feeling of home she felt at that moment, of Rhysand. Rhys continues explaining how he convinced the High Lords to give her that spark of their power, and after watched her with Tamlin. He just wanted to go home, but had to see it through and make sure that she was okay. When she came to him, he almost told her then, but he could see how sad and broken she was, so instead he told himself he'd free her from the bargain the next time he saw her. When he went to leave, he truly felt the bond lock into place permanently and knew if he didn't leave immediately, he would risk her hatred by stealing her away with him. He confessed everything to Moore as soon as he returned to the Night Court, needing to tell someone. He then proceeded to try to convince himself she was better off without him for the following 3 months, despite being able to feel her struggling. The day of her wedding, he planned to get drunk and let things be until he heard her begging for someone to save her. Seeing her so thin and pale in her stupid fucking dress made him want to end Tamlin, and he knew he had to get her away, if even for a moment. He made the decision then not to tell her the truth for fear of rejection or fear of losing her, the same way he had lost so many of his family and friends. And he just watched her as she struggled until the day Tamlin locked her up. He wouldn't have hesitated to kill Tamlin if he'd been the one to get her, but Fae rules and custom meant they had to do it by the book, and while them being mates would have superseded it, he wouldn't force the bond on her. He didn't want her to think anything he had done was to win her, but he couldn't stop loving her and wanting her, and he still can't. After the greatest confession in literary history, Faye returns to him and puts the soup in the bowl, asking if he loves her. After watching him nod, she wonders to herself if love is even a strong enough word and simply tells him, then eat.
I'm like tearing up.
I know. Oh my god. I fucking love that chapter. I can't.
It's so good. It's a really good book.
Okay. And if you're not a chapter 54 girly, then we know you're a chapter 55 girly. So buckle up. Reese quickly eats the soup before asking Feyre if she's going to say anything. She tells him she loves him and is proud to be his mate, and that he is hers, bringing Reese to tears. She kisses them away as he once did hers, and they have their first real kiss. Passionate, but gentle at first, the sound of Feyre's groan sets Reese to work. Deepening the kiss and pulling her top off, he begins to focus on other areas before accidentally putting his hand in Feyre's paint palette. He cheekily uses the paint to draw an arrow on Feyre's stomach, letting her know exactly where this is headed. Getting fully undressed and paint going everywhere, Reese forsakes his vow to bow before no one but his crown for his mate, and proceeds to enjoy the feast he let us all know about. It's been a while, so Feyre finishes quickly, demanding more from Reese, but he's not done yet, pushing her over the top again before standing and declaring she's his. Finally, ready to give her what she wants. And what do you know? Turns out Reese is packing, and Feyre's mouth dries out. Knowing his wings are sacred, Feyre wants to take full advantage of her title as his mate and reaches out to touch them. But Reese is ready to take this thing home. After another declaration of who belongs to who, Feyre finally feels the bond between them growing brighter as time goes on. Reese whispering, I love you, sending both of them over the edge and making good on his last unfulfilled promise to make the mountains tremble. Reese tells her when he thinks he knew he loved her and how she reminded him so much of his friends. Dirty and in much need of a bath, they get in the tub and speak further, with Feyre saying that the wingspan jest is accurate. We're looking at you, Azriel. And admitting she has been falling for him for some time. She knew for sure on Starfall, but was too afraid to admit what it might mean. It had nothing to do with Reese, and she truly believes he's worth whatever might come her way from being with him. Her heart breaking for the years he felt anything else could be true. They talk about what comes next, and Reese tells her the Queen's responded and there will be a meeting tomorrow. Feyre starts glowing with power she believes may be from the day court, and Reese removes his glamour, revealing his true power as they begin round two. After a night of very little rest, Feyre wonders if it's normal that she feels like this. Reese says it is and asks her to be patient with him as he explains mating bonds. Children come up, and Feyre admits she's not ready yet, but maybe one day it's something they will share together. They take one last moment to enjoy each other before returning to the real world for the meeting with the human queens.
Okay, wow, that was amazing. The most famous chapters of this book. Great job, great job. Okay, but now we have to get into some serious shit. Unfortunately,
Oh,
Rysand and Feyre aren't really able to enjoy this moment as much as they probably want to.
oh.
Starting with chapter 56, Rysand winnows Feyre and himself to the Illyrian camp. Cassian teases him about the mating as Illyrians in the camp leave ASAP. Feyre isn't sure what is going on, and then she realizes the reason they didn't go to Valaris first is because Rysand had to let off some steam being newly mated. So him and Cassian have a friendly fight. Moore welcomes Feyre to the family as Rysand deals with trying to calm himself down. Once him and Cassian are done, they have sex again and then winnow to their home, Valaris. The new happy couple walks in the dining room at the House of Wind to see the inner circle waiting for them. They swear to Feyre that they will serve and protect her. After dinner, Moore, Cassian, and Az and them fly to the mortal lands to meet the queens to show them the secret Rysand has been protecting for centuries. Chapter 57. At the Archeron estate, only two of the mortal queens come, the Ancient One and the Golden One. The Ancient Queen starts by telling them that their kind and her kind are very different and try to go after Elaine and Nesta, calling them idiots and vipers. Moore has the Veritas containing the images of Valaris and opens it up for the queens. Moore says the orb was her first ancestors and shows the truth. Images of Valaris flash by the merchants, the peers, and the people and the House of Wind, Feyre's home. Rysand explains that they have kept this part of the Night Court secret for 5,000 years, and it's why he has a reign of terror, which is to protect Valaris. The queens thank them for trusting them, but is still hesitant on agreeing to give them half of the Book of Breathings. One of them reads the letter Rysand sent to them which was really a letter declaring his love for Feyre and not wanting separation between the mortals and the Fae. The ancient queen questions if this is just a manipulation, which Nesta snaps. She says that they are mad women and aren't willing to help hundreds of innocent people. She even says, "Please help us," while crying in rage. Cassian wipes away her tears and says he will protect her in this land. Moore looks in awe at that interaction and asks if the queens require a sum. They say no, and they need to discuss with their sisters and winnow away. Under the Golden Queen's chair is something, the half of the Book of Breathings. Let's go.
Period.
Okay. She left it for them in secret. There's a note on it saying that she believes Rysand and to not trust the other queens. Rysand offers to welcome Elaine and Nesta to Valaris. Nesta tells Elaine it's up to her if she wants to go, and Elaine says she can't. Rysand tells them that he will send guards, and if they change their mind, to tell them, and that Valaris is their home now too. Rysand then says to Feyre that she understands why she painted stars for herself. Chapter 58, they quickly winnow away to Valaris and give Amryn the book to decode. 2 days pass and nothing. It is now springtime. Moore and Rysand go to the Court of Nightmares to return the Veritas. No word from the queens. As they are gone, Cassie and Feyre spend some time together by going to see a symphony. They go for a walk after and stop to look at the Sidra River. They have a deep conversation about Nesta, who Cassian has been eyeing, but then they both start to notice something really strange in the river. There is a strange curtain coming in, and Cassian immediately suits up. He is covered instantly in his Illyrian armor. They see blackness coming from the ocean and know it's not birds. Cassian tells Feyre to get to the house as the citizens of Valaris sound the alarm and are under attack. The black flying creatures are the Adder, and they quickly piece together what is happening. The queen sold them out to Hybern, and they are here to kill them all. Fuck. I hate these bitches. Most of them. I hate
Ew.
4 of them.
That's enough.
Right. Cassian uses his power to create a huge shield around the town, but it is not able to hold up for long. The Adder break through and start their massacre throughout the town. As Cassian is telling Feyre to get to the house, they hear a disturbing crunch and see that the Golden Queen, the one who helped them, is skewered on a lamppost.
Mm.
Sorry, y'all. This is graphic. Just to let
Yeah.
y'all
What
know.
they do to her is fucked.
Yeah. So Feyre runs to the townhouse, but then hears a loud boom and notices Azriel and Cassian up in the skies, covering it with their blue and red power as the Adder fall. She sees that the Adder and the Hybern warriors on the ground are mostly in the heart of Valaris, the most vulnerable area with the most people. She decides she's going to fight and not run away. She winnows into the madness and slices through the king of Hybern's army. She goes to the Sidra River and commands it to her will. Her powers shine through, and she's able to control the water, making wolves out of it who chase after the enemies. The Adder began to flee by flying, but then she makes her wolves into wolves with wings chasing after them. The surviving Adder laughs at her because they didn't drown from her water wolves. So she turns the water into ice and freezes them all to death instantly. She sees the main Adder, who is ahead of them all, and also the one from under the mountain, and she runs after him, and she finally hears Rysand's voice screaming, "Where are you?" Oh, chapter 59. Feyre mind connects with Rysand, telling him she's right where she needs to be, and slams up her mental shield. She will not let this Adder get away as she sees darkness coming into Valaris, knowing that it's Rysand's power. She winnows right on top of the Adder, who is flying away. She stabs him multiple times and flies with him right until the very last second when they are about to slam into the ground. She winnows away and hears a disgusting crunch of his body hitting the ground. Ew. Well, fuck you, bro.
Yeah, but in the most badass way possible.
Yeah, it was so badass. As the dark cloud finally gets to where Feyre is, suddenly all the warriors and the Adder are dead from Rysand's power. He finds her and kisses her while calling her Feyre Cursebreaker, defender of the rainbow. They have won the fight, but at a huge cost. Chapter 60, we are almost there.
Almost there, guys.
Valaris is secured and the wards are back in place. The inner circle are all back together, beat the fuck up, and trying to come up with a game plan. They need to destroy the cauldron ASAP. Imran offers to stay in Valaris when they all go to Hybern. She is the only person who can defend it by herself. They all agree they need to rest and heal. Feyre goes to bed, but Rysand is not there. She goes to find him and sees him sitting on the roof. He notes that a lot of lights are not on in the town tonight. He tells Feyre he is very impressed that she was able to shut him out and thanks her for defending his people. They finish the night off by having sex on the roof. The next day, Imran cracks the code of the Book of Breathing. She says to nullify the cauldron's power, you must touch the cauldron and mutter these words. She gives the passage to Feyre on paper. Moore asks what will happen if they put the two pieces of the book together, and Amryn says to not do that. If it happens, the blast of power will be felt in all quarters of the realm, awakening creatures far more evil than Hybern. They come up with a plan to get to the cauldron. Lord Rysand will widow them all in and stay by the coast, so Rysand's power isn't noticed. Feyre, Az, and Cassian will go to the castle where Az has a good idea where the cauldron is. Feyre is at first concerned that Rysand won't let her go in without him, but he says it's her choice and she's her own person. She realizes how low her standards are because of how Tamlin treated her. They go to bed for the night as Feyre moves into Rysand's bedroom officially. He has a box there waiting for her. It's the ring she stole from the Weaver. Rysand tells her that the ring is a family heirloom and his mother gave it to the Weaver because it is a test for Rysand to give to his future mate. If that female cannot outsmart or steal the ring back, she is no match for him. Feyre says after they win the war, she wants to have a wedding with him, with everyone in Velaris invited.
Oh, guys, we made it.
We did it.
We did it. What a bunch of fucking chaos and craziness and greatness. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's such a buildup for Bryson and Feyre finally getting together, and then, of course, all of a sudden, it has to go to shit.
Oh, man. No, seriously, it's like as soon as they get their little bit of happiness, it's just like shit just goes down. But we get to see some of Feyre's badassery, Cassian and Asriel, Amryn, like everybody shows up in this part. Like, let's go ahead and talk about some of the characters. Start with Moore. Moore kind of pops up a little bit earlier in these chapters. She's the one person who like Feyre trusted and got her away when she needed her time away from the rest of the inner circle while she was trying to figure out about her and Reese being mates. Moore just proves herself to be a really good friend at this part. She refuses to tell Reese kind of where Feyre is. She comes to check up on her, brings her different supplies and stuff, but still tries to talk to her and reason with her. Like, would it really be such a bad thing if we were your family and you were Reese's mate? And just really makes her see that no, it's not. She's more upset with how Reese did it and not the news itself. So, yeah, good moment for Moore. Love her right now.
And then also with Moore, we do get a glimpse into her power when she is showing the orb to the mortal queens. Feyre says that it's almost like the orb was built for Moore's hand, but it makes sense since it is her first ancestor's orb and it's supposed to contain the power of truth.
Yeah.
And as she's unleashing this orb, her eyes turn white. And I don't know. I was like, okay. And I think she has like a whole like hair wind moment. Ooh,
Yeah.
spooky. I don't know. Definitely one of the more detailed scenes that we see of Moore using her power. But I'm still like, what the fuck does a power of truth mean?
Yeah, yeah. Because even the queens aren't really convinced. They're like, how do we know that this is real? Like, how do we know? It's been a long time since our ancestors made peace with you and we're friends with you. And how do we even know that this isn't the High Lord putting visions in our mind and blah, blah, blah? And I don't think that's what happened, obviously, as we can tell by the fact that the Lars is real and we know that. It's just very interesting, like, what exactly her power is and what it all means. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. And then moving on, Cassie and Azriel. Azriel's not too much in these chapters. Cassian has a little bit more of a role, but not too much. The biggest thing with Cassian is the foreshadowing that happens with him and Nesta when, again, they're at the Mortal Queen's meeting. Obviously, Nesta's there and he vows to protect her and the mortal people in the mortal lands where they live. they have a little sweet moment, and I remember catching, like, a little passage saying that, like, Moore was, like, looking over at them, like, in awe, apparently,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Okay."
Yeah. I think she just wants to see him happy. I think that after all these centuries with their triangle and her knowing where her true feelings lie, I think that Moore just is happy to see a woman who can
Ooh.
challenge him and he's interested in the way that like he's interested in her. She's happy at that, I think.
Okay, wait, I just had a fucking thought. What if her truth power allows her to see, like, mating bonds, and that's why she was kind of, like, in awe?
That could be. Ooh, that's pretty good.
Maybe.
That's definitely a possibility. She was the first person that Reese told about him being mates,
Mhm.
but maybe she would have seen that had she seen the 2 of them together, like, separately? I don't know. That could be something. Definitely could be part of her powers that no one knows anything about. And also Cassian has such a cute moment with Feyre. They for her him and Asriel, like, just they both have cute moments where they, like, come to stay at the townhouse with Feyre and, like,
Mhm.
they're there to protect her, and everybody, when they go to the meeting, is like, "We'll serve and protect you, new High Lady," even though she's not High Lady yet. It's just so cute, but, Cassian specifically, like, taking her to go see the symphony and, like, telling her about how the music makes him feel, and I don't know, it just shows, like, the friendship that Feyre and Cassian have separate from Reese. Feyre's really friends with all these people, and it's super sweet and it's super cute, and I love the whole found family thing because, like she says in chapter 54, like, this is or maybe it's chapter 53, but, like, this is a family that she's never really had before. She's not close with her sister. She's not close with her dad. She really didn't have any friends. Isaac was the only person that she really shared any kind of friendship with before, and they were really just casual lovers, I would say. So it's just really cute and sweet to see her fitting in so well with Reese's family and to just know where their journey goes. Love it. And Cassie, in that moment you're talking about with Nesta, not me tearing up. I teared up when they were doing that whole little moment. I was like, "Oh my god, I forgot. Things get worse
Yeah,
before they get better, but oh my gosh, like, it's just so sweet."
I know, and then I forgot about when Cassian and Feyre are looking off the river together, and they had the conversation about Nesta, and Feyre's like she basically just says, "I know Nesta has a tough exterior, but I think it's because she feels everything, and she has to put that wall up in order to not feel everything," and she was just explaining to Cassian, like, even though she comes across really cold, know that she really appreciates what you said to her,
Yeah.
and just remember that because she probably will piss you off again in the future.
Oh, yeah, it is it is pretty fucking accurate. I will say one thing about Feyre is she knows her sisters. Stronger and different, she be reading them. Like, sometimes she
Yeah.
says something about them, I'm like, "Yo, everything she says about them ends up being, like, a little too accurate." But yeah. Super cute.
Ah,
And Cassian and Asriel are badass in the battle. The whole description of them
and
in the sky and their shields, like, going out, and Cassian, when he literally basically transforms into his fucking suit, it's like the Sailor Moon
yes,
transformation. It's just like
literally.
the sight and it's just like everything, like, pops out. I was like, "Fuck yes. This is so good."
Oh my gosh. What is, like, a catchphrase for Cassian and Azrael when they suit up? Instead of moon power makeup, it could be
Could literally be like
bloodshed, shadows. Oh, no.
yeah, it could be, I don't know. We need to come up with a catchphrase for them because, like, literally, it's just the way that, like, I just picture every anime of where
Me
they, like, do,
too.
like, transformations. He
Yes.
just, like, touches the siphon and the shit comes out. It turns it,
Yes, no,
or even
literally.
Iron Man, like, when he touches the heart and then, like, his
Yeah.
suit appears, that's it
Mhm.
giving that. It's very much giving that. So,
I was imagining this, like, slow
oh,
motion,
yeah.
like,
Just
all
do
this amazing art coming
the
on.
other
I'm like,
siphons
"Yes."
pop out. Like,
Yeah.
this is
This
badass,
fucking
bro.
awesome. Oh, man. I love Azriel and Cassian. We also, we do get a huge glimpse into everyone's power in this section, but
Yeah.
with Cassian being able to shield the entire fucking town for a hot minute,
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, okay. Okay, Cassian."
Mhm.
And then Azrael comes because he was doing some other spy shit when, like, when the adder came, but
Yeah.
eventually he gets there in time, and he's able to help fight with Cassian, and Farah is like, "Damn, they be fucking these adder up. The adder are raindrops falling from the sky because of them.
Yeah, no, literally. And Amryn too. Like, she held one whole side of the river by her fucking self. And if Feyre's just like looking over there and just seeing motherfuckers drop down, she's just boom. She's like, what is going on over there? It's just little Amryn, just alone, just fucking shit up. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah, and we learned that she was able to take down the adder because she was sending them illusions in their heads and making their worst nightmares real, which made them like, their hearts literally
That's
explode
fucking
from terror.
crazy. That's one badass bitch, bro. Okay, say
Oh,
what you want about
seriously, like,
Amryn. She's fucking
I
fire.
like Amber,
Yeah, she's
so
fire, bro. I don't know if we could trust
oh my
her. I
gosh.
don't know, but goddamn,
Same.
she's fucking fire. Yeah, no, that's crazy. Just like the idea. And then she was picking and choosing. She was like, oh, you're the worst of them. You're the worst kind of fucking people. You're going to die by your own fucking terrors, literally giving you a heart attack, like you said. Ugh, I don't know. She's badass. She's badass. But sadly, we did have a lot of collateral damage in the battle,
Yeah.
and a lot of people in Valaris died. And just real quick, talking about like people that died, the poor Golden Queen, holy moly, they wrecked her. That was probably the worst
Dude,
description since what Amarantha did to Claire. That was bad.
it was gross. It was
It was bad.
gross. The thing that got me, again, maybe skip a minute if you don't wanna hear this, but in the book, it's like she fell on the fucking lamppost
Mhm.
skewer alive. She was
Mhm.
alive for a fucking minute.
Yeah.
And Farrah's like, her mouth was, like, opening like a fucking fish.
God. And then her eyes
And
were cut
Farrah was
out.
like, "S
Ugh.
I this bitch was alive." I'm like, "Okay." But also, thank you, Queen. Literally, Queen, thank you for giving us a book of readings. We love you. She also gave them that intel that the 6th queen, there's some shit going on,
Mhm. Yeah, that's
and
so
not to
fair.
trust those bitches.
That
But I do wish that she was somehow able to tell them maybe a little bit earlier to not
yeah.
trust them,
But not only that,
but she was good.
I wish that they had heeded her warning a little more seriously and taken a little bit more better precautions to protect Valaris after she let them know
True.
what was going on. And the same thing with Sta and Elaine. That's why I said that about there was a lot of bad decisions made in that moment. I feel like everybody was on edge, but it's okay. Nesta, I get it. You want to let Elaine have her choice and you're going to respect it, but y'all should have gone to Valaris where you were protected. Like,
Yeah.
there was just so many bad choices made in this moment. Reese, if you were gonna be away from the city with more in the city in the Court of Nightmares, you should have upped security. Y'all should have been aware that you had just told these people about this city and there was a possibility that you already know these people aren't trustworthy. You were straight up told by these people that they're not trustworthy, and you just left the city to its own defenses. Like Feyre and Cassian are going to the opera and the symphony, and Asriel's away, and Reese and Mora away. Why are all of you guys away at the same time when you realize what high stakes are going on right now? That did take me aback a little bit because I'm like, these are smart people. It's just, I don't know. It was interesting. Very interesting.
That's such a good point. I know that
Yes.
they probably think their words can't be broken, but again, the King of Hybrid has the cauldron
And we know this.
that can break anything.
If
So,
he,
I don't know. Oh my god.
if the whole thing is you're terrified of him using it to take down the wall, why wouldn't you think he could take down your wards once he knew about the city? And then Amren's like, when everything's protected, she's like, it's fine. We put up stronger wards this time. I'm like, there were stronger wards? There was stronger wards, and y'all didn't think to do this a little bit earlier? I don't know.
It's totally
It's
fine.
very interesting because obviously you get this badass scene and we get such good moments and such a good, I hate to say it because it's so tragic, but it is a good bonding moment for the inner circle. Everybody gets to see how strong Feyre really is, how far she's come. Even Reese, we get a great moment of him wanting to protect her, but how we see how he's different from Tamlin. But goddamn, it's just this whole thing could have been prevented if we had just noodle. Use your
Yeah, the Court of
noodle.
Nightmares don't need the orb back immediately. They don't even know it's fucking gone. We can wait a minute.
It's
What if
yours.
we need it again?
Yeah,
Like,
literally.
what if I need to use
Who's the Lord of the Court of Nightmares? You should have just walked in there and been like, "Give me this shit, or or I'll break down the mountain." What's with this
literally?
whole heist situation? What, like, duh. I don't. So there's a certain amount of
Oh,
me being
God.
like, okay, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he was like, we didn't want the Court of Nightmares to know about Valaris because they don't know about it either. So
True.
maybe
That's
they're like
true.
keep trying to keep that a secret without,
Dude,
but I don't know.
imagine living in the court of nightmares and then you learn Valaris is a thing and you're like,
You like, really, bro?
I'm stuck down here and y'all are just up there having a good
Grand
time.
old time. Artist quarter, cafes, art studios,
I'd be like, "Oh, y'all
gorgeous
have, like,
townhomes,
sunshine?
sunshine, the
Y'all have,
river.
like, nature? I live in a rock." Like,
Yeah. Ferris, when she described the hewn city, she was like, it's pretty badass, but would I want to live there? No. It's like
oh.
the other courts. It's I'm going to visit and then I'm fucking going home. I live in Valaris. Okay? Valaris.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, that being said, Feyre and Reese also have some great moments during the whole battle scene. Really more Feyre than Reese. Reese shows up at the last minute. Not that he didn't do anything, but he shows up at the last minute. He is very hard on himself in the aftermath of what goes on and probably a little bit more than he needs to be. I do think that there is a certain amount of accountability he needs to take because it was his decision to let the human queen see Valaris and it was his idea, but at the end of the day, like what else was he gonna do? He took a gamble and it didn't really pay off for him, and it's not all the way his fault, but after our conversation now, maybe it was a little bit all of y'all's fault for not thinking a little bit ahead in this whole situation, but I don't think he needs to dwell on it for too long. What's done is done, you know what I mean? They gotta pull up their bridges and keep this party going and stop the King of Highburns. But moving on to Feyre and Reese, I think the big moments of this whole section for them is just chapter 54. Chapter 55 is so important and a lot of fun if you enjoy the smut as I do, as we do. But Chapter 54 is really it's really at, bro. Like, when I say the greatest confession I've ever read in a book, the hype for this moment, going back and thinking about how I felt the first time I read those fucking words was just like, it was life-changing for me, okay? I was like, holy shit, I have never experienced anything like this in my life. I thought I loved Edward motherfucking Cullen, okay? And I do. But I was like, oh, so many things just fucking made sense and just the way that he lays it all out and the way that he like expresses his love for Feyre. Oh, I can't. Fictional men, why can't they be real? I don't know, but so much to talk about. Starting with the war, starting with all the way back in the day when Amarantha captured Reese and tortured him and kept him as a prisoner before the whole battle with Durian, we get to see that not only has Reese been around for a long time, but he was very much involved in the war for between the humans and the Fae. He saw what Durian did to Amarantha's sister, saw the whole thing go down between the two of them. We get to see what a piece of shit his dad is like, when his dad shows up to rescue him, he instead of being like, "Oh my god, my son, you're safe," he's like, "Leave the ash arrows in his wings. Take him back to camp. He deserves to be punished for getting caught." No wonder he's struggling a little bit. Your dad was a piece of shit. Thank God he had such a great mom to balance it out or whatever. But yeah, what is it with these old school Fae men being such pieces of shit? Tamlin's dad was a piece of shit. Reese's dad was a piece of shit. It's no excuse, but it's just like, I see where some of their issues come from. Didn't have the best role
Oh, yeah.
models. And then, yeah, we get to see like his vengeance being his undoing, basically. Everyone told him to let it go. Everyone told him to let Amarantha be, and he just had to try to take it upon himself. This is hundreds of years later. He should have matured a little bit by this point, but he's still so consumed with his revenge against Amarantha, and especially at this point because of Tamlin's father having killed his mother and sister, and Tamlin betraying him basically, and her being friends with Tamlin's dad and being in love with Tamlin. He just really wants to fucking wreck this bitch. And he thinks that he could do it himself, and he goes into the mountain and gets motherfucking got. He even says he was
Yeah.
like, as smart as I thought I was, like, Amarantha was 10 steps ahead of me. She was smarter than me, and she uses the magic and steals all their powers, and now he's gotta spend 50 years under the mountain in the worst situation possible because he didn't ask for help. He didn't tell anybody, and he was so consumed by revenge, he didn't really think about his actions going into Under the Mountain. And obviously, gonna excuse Amarantha's actions because she's still a complete fucking piece of shit and we hate her. But it is really interesting to just there's a little bit of a lesson there about revenge and letting it consume you and letting it be all you thought about and all of that. And do we see any of that going forward when it comes to Tamlin? Because I know he refers to Tamlin as his other great enemy several times throughout
No, not
this
really. Because
portion.
really, and I don't remember which one it is. It might it's either Aquawar or Frost and Starlight
Mhm.
that Rhysand actually goes to go check on Tamlin
Yeah.
to make sure he's doing okay, and he pities him for sure. I don't know for sure if he forgives him, but he definitely feels bad for him. I'm pretty sure this is Frost and Starlight, like, after he does save Feyre and Elaine
Yeah.
from the King of Hybern's camp, because I think that's his redemption
Right.
part-ish.
That's fair.
No, I don't know.
Yeah. But I think that he learns his lesson. I do think that he still considers like Tamlin a great adversary, but at this end, I don't think he'll ever forgive Tamlin for what he did to not only his sister and mother, but to Feyre as well. These are the three most important women in his entire fucking life. And Tamlin has literally ruined or ended the life of all of them. If I was Reese, I wouldn't fuck with Tamlin either. So I get that. But I do think that him finding Feyre and having something different to focus on definitely realigns his ideas of what is actually important when it really comes down to it. And that was a lesson that he had to learn from the whole Amarantha situation. So we get so much information. We find out all of the red flags that we, see in Akatar are definitely still red flags, but they have reasons behind them. There was intention there and it makes sense. I have already forgiven Reese for a lot of those things because obviously this is not my first time reading the book. I already had his explanation. So when I'm rereading it, I'm like thinking, oh, I know Reese isn't a complete piece of shit. But Farah didn't have this information yet. So for her to get the big reveal about everything that he did being to keep her safe, as fucked up as it seems, like it is true. Yes, the fairy wine was not great and taking her memories was not great, but we also know that there was some horrific shit going on under the mountain. And Farah was already struggling enough with what she had seen. Who's to say what she would have been struggling with if she had seen everything that went down when she was under the influence or whatever? Putting her in the skimpy clothes, it's fucked up, but it was the only way to stop Amarantha from becoming suspicious over why she was in Reese's care in the first place. He had to keep up appearances. And to learn that Reese felt the same exact way about Tamlin as we all did at that moment under the mountain when he takes Feyre into the room. Thank God, because I know I'm not the only one who was like, what the fuck are you doing, Tamlin? Like, where is your head at? You busy trying to fuck this
Ugh.
girl instead of taking this opportunity to do anything to get her safe, make a plan.
It was like, "Hey, how are
Yeah,
you?
yeah,
What
say
happened in
hello,
that?"
say
It's just,
anything.
like, what the fuck
Ah,
is I
I hate. But yeah, and imagine how hard it was for Reese. Reese knows this is his mate. Reese has been looking for this girl. When Reese finds her, she's in love with not just any Fae man, his greatest fucking enemy, the person who killed his mother and sister. And she's just like doe-eyed, staring at him, sacrificing her own life to save him and his people. Dude, Reese is going through it over here. And then he watches her die. Watches Amarantha literally fucking kill her in a brutal way after she achieved what she was supposed to. Like Amarantha was supposed to let her go. She's a fucking piece of shit. I can't even imagine what Reese was going through. And then at the end of all of it, he convinces these people to save her life, sees her struggling, and just has to send her back with the fucking dude that he hates so much because he's trying to respect her and give her free choice and doesn't want to overwhelm her, doesn't want to put more struggle on her and hurt her in any way. And it's just so selfless. I love Reese. I do. He's not perfect. He's not perfect, but nobody is. I just love this chapter. I love reading it. I've already reread it twice since we started reading Akamath. Sometimes I just go back and read just this chapter. So it's so good.
it's so
Yeah. And then Feyre and the way that she accepts it when after what we talked about last week with her having such a hard time accepting what she was saying. And like I said, I didn't think she handled it in the best way. She finally came to the realization that maybe that was true. I just love it. The whole then eat. I love it. Love these two.
I see so many memes of imagine you take this girl to your family's cabin and you come home and she painted all of it.
Yeah, that part. that part. Hey, that's
And
real
and
love right
so
there.
and I've seen, like, memes of, like, what if Farrah's, like, actually a terrible painter?
Oh.
And when Laura walks in and she's just like, "Wow, look at this. What did you do?" Like,
Yeah, that's so funny. I've definitely seen that too. I think she is a good painter.
but it is funny, that theory of what if Farrah's actually a terrible painter? What if Nessa's a terrible dancer?
Yeah. No, it's so true. It's like we're just taking it for granted here. Only proof that I can think of is when she opens the art studio, like people actually come to learn from her. And also, I feel like if she was genuinely a bad painter, Nesta would have told her. So
Fair.
Nesta would have been,
No,
you need to
seriously, that's
fucking stop.
fair.
Like, you suck, bitch.
You need to find something else, please,
I can't
please.
look at any more of your shitty ass stick figures.
So, also, that Farrah taught Nesta how to paint too. I don't yeah,
Yeah.
no, she's a good painter. She's a good painter.
But
I will die on that
it
hill.
is fucking hilarious. It is pretty
It's
funny.
funny.
And also, yes, as much as I think that she actually is a great painter and probably like actually super talented, it is just
Paint
wild
my
that she
shit.
just started painting this fucking cabin with no permission, no nothing. She was like, "Oh, we're mates. Oh, this is my shit now," and just painting everywhere, painting eyes,
Oh,
painting
Lord.
seasons. She was like, she painted the whole house. She spent 5 days just in this house, just painting. Holy shit. Okay, cool. Cool. But you know what? Reese accepts it. Reese is like, you know what? I fucked up. If the worst, if this is what I have to deal with, then sheck, she could have made it a
I
lot
think
worse on
also
me.
true. He could probably just snap and it, like, goes away
That's
too, so,
true.
like, stop.
Yeah, it's really not the end of the
I
world.
don't know.
Mm. Pick your battles though, when you guys are
Um,
basically married now. But yeah.
oh, which also to mention of them being basically married, he gives her the ring, but she says she doesn't wanna wear it yet because she doesn't wanna walk into Hybern's castle being like, "What up?"
Yeah.
And she also does ask Raisan if people can smell the mating bond, and he says, "Yeah."
Hmm.
So, they have to be a little bit careful about that, but at the end, she just tells him, "I will wear this ring when the war's over."
Yeah.
Boom.
Which is,
So
yeah, good for her. But also, like that being said, let's just talk about the juxtaposition when Feyre is having this conversation with Tamlin when they're supposed to be getting married. And she's basically like, "What am I going to be called when we get married? And what am I going to be?" And Tamlin's like, "You'll be my consort. There is no high lady of spring. You will be my little woman, and I will be the big one.
sorry.
You will be woman and I will be man and everything will be
No.
like as I say, whatever. And Reese, on the other hand,
No.
you'll be my maid. Calling you my wife sounds pretty good. You want to be high lady? You could be high lady. I'll make you high lady. Like, put some respect on Feyre's name, okay? And that is just the difference between Tamlin and Reese and why she was never supposed to be with Tamlin's dumbass in the first place. Tamlin is stuck in the past, bro. This is the future. Reese is a dreamer, okay? He dreams of a world united. He dreams of a happier place where Fae and humans can be friends, okay? He loves a woman who was once a human and he accepts that and doesn't care about it anyway. And he's not here for gender norms, okay? His second is a woman. His third is a woman. His wife is about to be High Lady of the motherfucking Night Court. Can we just get some for Reese in his progressiveness?
No, yeah, period. And, like, once Nesta and Elaine join the inner circle, it's mostly
Yeah.
women.
And he does not care. And he really doesn't want any more dudes around, okay? Because have you seen him inviting anybody other than Cassian and Asriel to anything? I don't think so. The rest of Faizan through the rest of these books gets a little bit meh. In this moment, I'm obsessed. I can't help it. Every time I reread it, I'm like, okay, even for the first probably 2 parts of Akawar, I'm also all about Faizan, and then they start to get a little bit like they get a little bit much, but it's okay because then finally the story starts to shift and focus on other people. So I'm okay with that. But yeah, Faizan forever. Hashtag forever. Okay.
Period. They're perfect for each other.
I'm just happy for Feyre that she is finally fucking it happy, okay? Because this girl has been through it, y'all. She has been through it. She's sacrificed a lot for these people. And as much as I love Reese, she deserves to be happy and to have found the
Mhm.
person that she's gonna be with because she really has. She's been through the ringer. She has suffered for the people that she loved. She's proven herself time and again, and she's going to continue to do so going forward to make sure that she protects those people to the best of her ability. So shout out Feyre. And I'm just so happy for the two of them. It's just such good, feel good moments at this part.
Something else really quick before we wrap up character discussions with Feyre is she finally is like full fledged in her powers. She's able to wield a lot of different types, and she literally saves Volaris. As Rysand said, she's now the defender of the rainbow. She decides that she's not going to run anymore, and she's going to go help. And thank God she did, because if she didn't, a lot of people would have probably died.
Yeah.
More people had already did. She literally widows in the middle of a fucking Rainbow Valaris. There's like these fucking adder that are going after the art shop owner who is sheltering so many of the citizens. And she is like, hell no, bitch. So she goes to the river and is literally able to, like, okay, if y'all have seen Lord of the Rings, it's giving Arwen, which she is able to summon horses
Yeah.
to fight the Nazgul. Okay, it's that. But these wolves come out of the fucking water and they kill them all. And then some of the outer get away. But then she's like, no, bitch. So she transfers those wolves into wolves with wings. She also transfers them into hawks and falcons. Boom, bitch.
Yeah.
What's up? And then she's also able to stab a bunch of them because of her training with Cassian.
Hmm.
There is so much that happens with Farah. Yes,
Yeah.
we love this for her.
She's like a combination of the Avatar, like you said, Lord of the Rings. She's Khaleesi with all of her fucking titles. Feyre Cursebreaker, Defender of the
Literally.
Rainbow. I can't wait to see her fucking Starbucks cup. It's just like
Oh, yes.
Defender of the Great Grassy, all of that
Oh
shit.
my God.
So Feyre is definitely a baddie. That is why I think we talked about it a few episodes ago. But while I'm like totally okay with the books not focusing on her anymore and like her love story, because that's definitely been flushed out and told, I'm fine with that being more of a background place. I still need Feyre to have a few more fucking moments because she is a certified badass. I do want to see more from her in the future. Like I said, I'm fine with her kind of being more on the back burner, her love story being on the back burner, but definitely want to see her come out in that big moment and see her really in battle, really using her powers to her full extent, protecting her child. Like that will be a different level of, I don't
Maybe
know.
it'll
That's what
trigger
I'm
her
saying.
power.
A different level of protectiveness that she feels like having to protect her child. So I see great things in store for her in the future. And we know Reese is just a certified badass as well. So maybe we'll see them do some cool shit together. That wraps up our character discussions. Let's go ahead and get into some foreshadowing and world building, as well as themes that go on in this book before we got ahead and wrap it up with our theories and connections. So, getting into some foreshadowing, Reese and Feyre do have a discussion about mating bonds, what they'll call each other, and most importantly, children. And it's very interesting kind of to see what they say here versus what we know ends up happening in Silver Flames and really Frost and Starlight, because it seems like the turnaround is quick. Farah brings up the fact that she's like, "Oh, I'm not on my tonic. Is that something like that matters to you? Is this something you're expecting of me to have your children?" And Reese is, "It would be an honor for you to have my kids. But to be fair, we are at war right now. This isn't necessarily the first thing that's on my mind." And he's like, "But one day I would love to have children with you." And she's like, "Okay, cool. So when we get back to the night court, I'm going to take my tonic because I feel the same way. I'm not ready to have kids. I want to spend time with us getting to know each other, spending time with family. Selfishly, I want to spend time with you by myself without anybody else being involved before we even think about having children, even though I'm not saying it's off the table. I'm just saying it's something that I wouldn't want for the extended future." And it seems like a pretty quick turnaround to Frost and Starlight, where she's like, Put a baby in me, bro." And in Silver Flames, where she's literally having a child. So I don't know. Interesting. Foreshadowing, yes, but like in the strangest way, because it's like it almost foreshadows what doesn't happen. It's like, where was this snap in Feyre where she went from very hesitant, like, "Hey, let's enjoy being married first. Let's enjoy each other's company, enjoy our time together before we bring another life into this," especially when things are unsettled between what's going to happen in the world. Now, I will say, at least they did wait until after the war was over. It's not like she's having a baby in Akawar while they're about to go into battle or anything like that. I think it's fair, but it's just very interesting how how that change up happens so fast.
Yep. Okay, anyway, just some quick world building in these chapters. We also learned that newly accepted mating bonds make the male go feral and they need to get a lot of energy out physically. And this is done by constantly having sex with their mate. And they also have a little bit of rage that they have to get out. And that's what happens with Rysand when they get back to Lyrian camp and Cassian kind of like messes with him and he's like, they start fighting and
Yeah.
it's really intense actually. And then Moore's, oh, don't worry. All the males are like this when the mating bond is accepted. I
Mhm.
don't know. I guess they have a lot of just
Pent up
emotions,
aggression and
feeling.
yeah.
I don't fucking know. It is on point with men, but of
Yeah.
course women are just super calm and whatever. But
But Cassian's such a good friend because, like, he immediately, like, starts to try to tease Reese and bring it out of him. Like, he's borderline disrespectful, but he's doing it to make it to I don't know, just help
help
Reese,
him just
yeah,
get it out.
some of that tension and stuff, and they have, like, their little brawl, but even Feyre says that she can see that even though they're fighting and it's intense, she can tell that Reese isn't really letting go, isn't really using his power, and it's more about just them. It's like going out in the yard and playing a game of sports ball, like, just to get out some of your energy and
Love sports.
frustration. We love sports, guys. Big sports ball fans over here.
Yes. Woo.
Go go
Okay.
team.
Go Valaris.
Yeah, seriously. Valaris, Valaris, ah.
We should all start a football team together, and it's just a bunch of girly pops who read books.
Oh my god, period. We call it fantasy football. We can take over we could take it
Yes!
over. Take it over.
We're making fantasy football
Uh,
literal. Let's fucking
a
go.
fantasy
We could
sports
show
ball.
up. Yeah, fantasy sports ball. We're gonna show up with like wings and elf ears
Mhm.
and like
In
sparkles
our
and be like,
books.
"Is this fantasy? The fantasy area?" Oh my god, stop! That'd be so funny. Okay, okay. So moving on, a little bit more foreshadowing is we also learned that the sixth queen wasn't sick.
What's going on there?
Okay, pretty sure this is Vasa,
What's she doing?
and there's some shit going on with her being literally enslaved by Koshite,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't know. The queen have some drama amongst their own circle, and the Golden Queen, who's the one that ended up saving their ass, is basically trying to expose that and saying, "These bitches are crazy. Y'all don't trust them. The Sixth Queen wasn't sick. That's why she didn't show up because she couldn't. Like, she
Yeah.
literally couldn't."
Yes. She definitely
Definitely some
she sacrificed a big time there and put herself on the
mhm.
line to try to help. I think she genuinely cares about humans and genuinely is not okay with what the human queens are doing, which we know is aligning themselves with Hybern. But she definitely made a big risk, big sacrifice there in helping our guys. So rest in peace.
Shout out to her. Seriously, I'm so sorry. Okay, so that section's really short because we definitely need to talk a lot about the foreshadowing and role building and the character discussions. So the section's a little bit short this week, but that's okay because we're gonna go ahead and move on to our theories and mass first connections.
Yes. That being said, we want to go ahead and give you guys that other spoiler warning right now. Thank you for staying with us this far. We have enjoyed breaking down the very famous chapter 54, 55, as well as the Battle of Valaris with you guys. But this is your warning where if you have not finished all of the books in the Sarah J. Maas universe, to go ahead and take your leave. We've enjoyed it with you up until this point, but we don't want to spoil anything for you. So if you have not read all of Sarah J. Maas's books, including Throne of Glass and the newest release, House of Flame and Shadow, go ahead and bow out now and come back and listen to this again when you've finished it, okay? All right. But now that they're gone, let's talk about some foreshadowing that happens in these books, foreshadowing connections, theories, all of that. There was a few things that really stood out in this stretch of chapters. The first thing being in chapter 55, right? So there's this moment where they're finally getting together and they're getting it on and they've already done it the first time. This is the second time that they're like coupling. And starts glowing. Reese tells her that he loves her and she just feels so happy, so like content. that she literally starts glowing. And at first, Feyre's is this power from the day court? And Reese is, I don't know, I don't really care. Get over here. But as they continue, she begins glowing even more and she compares it to starlight, even. And then she says that Reese removes his glamour and she can see him in his full like night shadow, like glory, looking not like a regular human. She can tell all the like his power, but she compares her light to like being so bright, like starlight. I don't know, but it just reminded me so much of Bryce's power. And it just very interesting to me about, like, where this power came from because of what we know. It's not like the Dusk High Lord was there to give Feyre power when the whole, like, transfer like, when they saved her life or whatever. Did some of that power come from Reese? Does Reese carry the power of dusk and night in his blood? Is that why he's so fucking powerful? I don't know, but it definitely made me think about that. So, yeah, so what like where do we think that comes from? Is that the same thing as Bryce's light? She's the only person that we've ever seen in any of these kind of books or anything that can do that. That's literally her power, and we do know that Reese is descended from that line. Is that what that is? Because, like, even Feyre questions it. She's at first she's, "Is his day's power?" And she's, "No, it doesn't
Mhm.
quite seem like that. It seems like something more." And then specifically compares it to Starlight.
I
Very
mean, potentially
interesting.
because pretty sure the first time Hunt and Bryce have sex, they glow like this.
What the fuck does that
So
mean, bro? What does it mean? And then the whole, like, Rune looking like Reese, I know we haven't that's, like, the hugest question about people from Hofast, like, what the hell happened with that? But it's okay, is it just because their lines descend from the same place, or is there a different connection there? Is it a bigger connection
has to
there?
be different connection. I'm sorry, but if the reason why Rune and Rhysand look exactly alike is because they both come to start from the starboard line, I would be so fucking upset because that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
There has to be something else. I don't know, I'm not gonna get into that, but
Yeah.
I feel like it's definitely plausible that it is Starlight. I'm just questioning how much Starlight Rhysand might have, but
But
I don't know, that's the question, and then
no,
how
because
much
he definitely gave her night power too, because she definitely has night powers.
she definitely has to speak into mind, stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know, it's definitely that's
It's just very
interesting.
interesting. Where did this kernel what if her Fey ancestor had something to do with the Dust Court? What if that power was already in her and when she got turned, it got triggered or something like that?
Oh,
Wait, because wouldn't that make a little bit more sense? Like why she was the only one, like maybe that power like was in her lying dormant. Maybe that has something to do with why Elaine and Nesta both have greater power than they necessarily should have.
I don't know. 1 second. My brain I'm sorry, I just broke my fucking brain.
Okay, just to quote, it says, "To find my skin glowing, faintly, as if some inner light shone beneath my skin, leaking out into the world, warm and white, light like the sun, like a star." Interesting. And then later, after they've been together for a second, she says, again, shining. "I was shining bright and pure as a star. Daycourt?" I asked. "I don't care," Reese responds. And then finally, a few pages later, she's experiencing a moment of great happiness. And she says, "I think the light pouring out of me might have been starlight." How Pharaoh would have gotten that power, I'm not 100% sure. Could it have been from Reese, knowing what we know about his ancestry and maybe that kernel of power is within him? Or could it possibly
Mhm.
have been that Fae ancestor that everyone talks about the Archerons having? Could they somehow have something to do with the Dust Court that got broken up and broken down? And that's why the Archeron sisters are so much more powerful in their Fae forms. Like they each of them has these special gifts. They're definitely more powerful than a lot of Fae once they become high Fae. And it's just very interesting that we've had reference to this Fae ancestor that they most likely have or possibly have. And Feyre is literally exhibiting these powers from Duskcourt, which is something that doesn't even exist. It's not a High Lord that she got power from. So the only thing that I can think of is it could be one of two things. Either she got the kernel of power from Reese somehow because we know he is descended from the dust court, or it was already in her and it got triggered when she became Fae. This is almost exactly how Bryce is described when she's going through a very
Mhm.
similar situation.
I think it's definitely possible that when the High Lords resurrected Feyre, that potentially Brysan's power that he gave her might have had a little bit of the Starborn line
Mhm.
or the Starborn abilities, whatever, in it. I'm questioning when he says to her, "I don't care," because I don't know. I'm thinking so hard right now.
I
I'm like,
I
"Okay,
go ahead. I was to say I could be wrong, but I think he was just saying it. I don't care
lightly,
where
is
the
this a
power.
time to
Yeah,
talk about it?"
exactly, exactly.
Okay, that's fair. Probably not the best time to discuss this newfound ability that you have in your family line that no one's supposed to know about, but I don't know, it's definitely possible, especially considering that's exactly how Bryce is.
Yeah, it's like almost.
Part of me wants to think it's not from the Dust Court, like their ancestor, if that theory is true, just because I feel like it would make them related in some way.
We know
Would
it
it
wouldn't be the
not?
first time, but
I know. Looking at you, Aelin and Rowan. But anyway,
maybe. I'm trying to think.
but that
It's possible also
would
that
raise
they
your
weren't though. Like, just if it was, they could still be connected to the dust court and not be related. Let me put it like that. It could also mean they were related, but
very distantly related,
yeah,
but
but
still,
still.
I don't know. I'm gonna say also because that wagers on the theory of if they do have an ancestor that's Fae
Yeah.
that we haven't learned about yet. I would say probably it's just from Raistlin giving his power. Maybe that's just like a side effect of having the Starborn powers. It probably is.
Right.
I'm interested to see where that goes though, because I feel like that's not just thrown in there for no
Yeah.
reason.
That's definitely.
Especially if it's just Starlight.
Yeah, it's definitely an option. It's because, okay, it's the specific description of it being similar to day and to night. Is that not dusk? That's the
Yeah.
whole.
Oh my god, it's interest. Ooh, I just had a thought. Okay. Sarah can glow during times like that. And then Nesta has the star on her back. Okay. So there's 2 connections now, potentially, to the Dust Court.
So, am I
What
a
what
little
happened
bit
with
more
Elaine?
on track than maybe we thought before? Because that is such a good point.
There's
Nesta's
just
primed to take over the dust court. We know she has the star on her back.
yeah,
Even Bryce points out that the star on her back must mean
yeah.
something. And now we know that Feyre is glowing like starlight, like daylight, like Bryce, very specifically.
Oh my gosh.
What's going on
Damn, I
here, bro?
freaking what
I
is
mean,
going on? Oh my god, my fucking head, y'all.
because
This is
if
him.
the other option is that she got the power from Reese, then that's interesting as well. But does that mean
Mhm.
that Reese is also hiding that he has this other ability that he hasn't told anybody about? Or does he just not know and it's just lying dormant in his blood? And you would think if it
Dude,
was
I don't
from
fucking
Reese and he had
know.
the ability when she started glowing, is that what you were trying to allude to when you were like, he was saying, like,
Yeah,
I don't care, like he was trying to brush it off, like he doesn't want
yeah.
anybody to know he has this power? I don't know, but the more I think about it, the more I'm thinking the
Mm.
fact that, like you said, that Nesta is like got this star on her back. This has something to do with the Archerons. And it is so very strange that they both have this connection to the prison.
Mm.
Feyre's glowing like Bryce with nobody else in Prithian having power like this.
I'm curious to see if Elaine's gonna show any signs of being
All we
connected.
know is that she's a seer, but we haven't even really fully seen her power yet. So she could be the missing link.
Oh
She
gosh.
could be the one who sees into the past and sees who their ancestor was, sees how it's all connected. I don't know. But it's very interesting that A, we've had mention of this possible Fae ancestor. B, like I said, Feyre's got this power that nobody else in Prithian has, and it's very much glossed over, but stood out to me. And then B, when Nesta makes the bargain with Cassian, of all shapes, it shows up as a star.
Oh my god, I'm going crazy. Okay.
I could be wrong, but
Unhinged theory time. don't have any proof of this. What if the Artron ancestor is potentially actually a goddess, and that's why they're so powerful? I don't
What
know which
no.
goddess,
I'm not
but one of the gods.
against
Like, what
this.
if it's like
I'm not against this.
I was looking up Dieta.
Mhm.
I don't know if it would make sense time-wise, but we're thrown a glass. We know that they were thrown into the world coming from another world, and they made that deal with Elena to try to get back to their other world, and we know in Akatar, they don't believe in gods anymore. It's because they left Akatar world to go to Started Glass. I don't know.
Could be.
Unhinged as fuck. I don't
I'm
know,
trying to
but
think. I'm trying to think because I feel like the general consensus is that Throne of Glass is taking place before ACOTAR as
if
far as
they're
a
able
timeline, but
to
at some point it
if
could
they're
have
able to,
lined
like
up. But also,
if they're able to,
go
like,
ahead.
travel through time like Aelin did, maybe.
Maybe. But also, I do feel like there is this specific okay, there's too many things that are coming up with this dust court thing, right? Also, I feel like it was 1 or 2 episodes ago, we were talking about how possibly the ancestor was a Valkyrie. The
Mhm.
connection with the Pegasus in the Dust Court, Valkyries, Nesta becoming a Valkyrie after so much time, the tattoo from the Dust Court, they were glowing like starlight. I could be completely off track, but I just feel like there is validity to this theory. And I'm not saying that doesn't mean that they can't also in some way descend from a goddess or that the power from the dust court could have even come from a goddess specifically. Maybe there's something to be said there. Maybe all of the powers of the Prithian gods came or the Prithian lords courts came from different gods because like they keep saying back before humans were around and back before this. Like there's so much as far as like how
Mhm.
magic got into this world. Like magic could come from the gods.
Fuck, I don't know
There could be
either. That
validity
was
in that statement.
my head really hurts. That's oh my god, that's such a fucking theory.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
I don't spend too much
Well,
time on it, but you guys let us know what you think about that one because, woo, that's a doozy. But I'm starting to feel like there's just way too many connections. Like I'm feeling strongly
mhm,
about this at this point. I can't wait to read the next book and see if I catch anything else. But yeah, I don't know why, but that just hit me like a fucking train. And when you made the Nesta
mhm.
connection about the star tattoo on her back, I was like, wait, hold on. Wait a second. Hold the fuck up. It makes too much sense.
It makes too much
It
sense.
makes too
Fuck.
much sense.
Okay. I'm gonna pivot
Mhm.
a little bit, a little tiny bit. We're still gonna be talking about the sisters,
Yeah.
but we talked about the Book of Breathings also a few episodes ago. We were trying to figure out what the fuck is happening with the Book of Breathings. And so when we get the second, like the other half of the book, it says Feyre, quote, life and death and rebirth, sun and moon and dark, rot and bloom and bones. Hello, sweet thing. Hello, lady of night, princess of decay. Hello, fanged bees and trembling fawn. Love me, touch me, sing me. Okay. All right. So this is literally about the fucking sisters. I
Mhm.
swear. It makes me so excited. Okay. When it says life, death, and rebirth, I think personally, Feyre's rebirth, considering that she literally was the rebirth.
Yep.
Obviously, Nessa's death, that's an easy and Elaine's
Yep.
life. Okay. And then there's sun, moon, and dark. Dark is Nesta, moon is Feyre, sun is Elaine.
Mhm.
And then the one that I'm unsure of is the rot and bloom and bone. Obviously, Elaine is
That's the
obvious,
clear
but
answer.
I'm wondering which one is rot and bones because when the book says, Hello, Lady of Night, Princess of Decay, I think that's right there is all about Feyre.
Yep.
So she could be rot, but I could also see Nesta being rot considering that she has death as her power. I don't know.
I feel like Feyre's rot in Nesta's bones, and it's because Nesta is death.
Okay.
Nesta is the bones that are already dead, like, they're dead, and Feyre is the rot, the in
Yeah.
between. The neither a
Ooh.
state of live or dead, really. The dead, but it's rotting.
I don't know. That just stood out to me. And then obviously, pretty obvious who this is about. And he says, Fang, bees, and trembling fawn.
Yeah.
Okay, we know. We know which sisters Those are,
Yeah.
but it just stood out to me, and I was just like, "Okay, the Book of Breathings has been, like, spitting shit out at,
Mhm.
like, Feyre, and I just wanna know more about this book," but it also made me have a super unhinged theory again, where I was like, "What if" this might be silly, but what if this is, like, almost a nod of what the next book might be called? What if it's a court of bloom and bones, or a court of bloom and rot, or,
It
like
definitely could be.
a core of bloom and day. I don't know. It just made me think, there's a reason why that was in there. It could just potentially be describing the sisters and their
Mhm.
journey, but that also would tie into them being the face of the triple goddess.
Yeah. Oh, s I don't know if I can go as far as to say that in book 2, she was already planning the name for book 6 or whatever. I don't know if it would be,
Yeah,
like,
no,
in
it's true. I would be
conjunction
fun.
like, with the name, but I will say that it's definitely a nod to, like, something that you're right. When I was listening to this again today, that really stood out to me as well, but
Mhm.
there's a couple of things. The book sings to who is around it because when Pharaoh opened the book, it was singing directly to her. So we know that all 3 of the Archeron sisters are there. So that's part of the reason why it's talking to them. But it's specifically talking to them, and the fact that it's not like that Nesta and Elaine are not Fae yet, it's almost like it's telling the future, Maid, and, like, what is going to
Mhm.
happen to all of them. I don't know. It's very interesting. Like, it's described as chaos, but I think you might be onto something about, like, them having more to do with what the end game of all of this. Obviously, I would think that it's pretty obvious that they're gonna have something to do with the cauldron and, like, all of that, but all of this is linking me back to what you were just saying about, like, the possible goddess connection. Just these bitches got more going on than just subhuman shit. Like, they're not just regular humans who just all happen. The whole idea of being fated
Yeah.
and what's happening to them being fate written,
Yeah.
surreal, like speaking to their future, it's literally like their fate is inked. It's already foretold and that these bitches are really important. And that also just leads me to believe about the whole possibly being with Azriel because it's like, where does Lucian come into all of this? If they're fated and their partners matter, you got the Lord of Bloodshed with the Death Lady. You got the Lord of Night with the Rebirth Brought Lady. And then you got the Shadow guy with the Bloomin' Spring Life Lady. I don't know. It's just really
I will say what kinda got me thinking, and I'm just like, "Dude," I'm like, "Sarah, why do you keep giving us different mixed signals?" I'm so confused of who Elaine's gonna be with, because I think it was our last episode, we were talking about the foreshadowing of her and Asriel, and now I'm just like, "Wait," in that passage, if I'm assuming that Elaine is Day, like, Lucian is technically the heir to the Day court, and I'm like, "Fuck, what does that mean, bitch? What? Why are you giving me mixed signals? What do you mean?"
and wait a second. Wait, day, dusk, night, right?
Oh my god, what if she does end up with Lucian?
Day, dusk, night.
I don't know what to believe.
Like
I don't know what to
Claire's
believe because
night,
last
Elaine's day, and Nesta's dusk, or whatever.
literally the 3 solar quartz,
Technically, dawn is the other solar quart right now,
whatever. 4 solar quartz, okay? But
but dusk is unmade right now, so
oh my god, wait, fuck, because like, literally last episode, I was like, I think she's probably gonna end up with Asriel, but,
now I'm like, "Wait,
now I don't
that's such a
fucking
good point with
know.
the day thing, though." Because I'm over here so many times we talked about this, and it's just like spring, he's the courtesan of spring, but
Mhm.
no, day,
But
sunlight, flowers bloom in the
yes!
sun.
Oh my god.
Girl, I don't know. I feel like this like, we have been casually talking and just opening up some crazy theories in this episode. I don't know.
I don't know what to
I
believe.
really, really strongly think we're onto something with the whole with the dust court connection, and then also now with this
Yeah,
whole
that's
day, dusk, night situation. What if she marries Lucian and becomes the Lady of Day, and then Nesta takes over the dust court and becomes the High Lady of the dust court, and then Feyre's High Lady of the
mhm.
night court? Would that not be too fucking perfect? Would that not make so much sense? Is that
It would make
why
so much
Lucian is actually her mate, even if she does end up with Azriel in some way?
we just opened up a can of worms.
Girl. All right, guys. Those were some crazy theories, and we're not done yet. One last theory that we wanted to talk about when Feyre is talking about the ring when Rhysand gives it to her after they're officially mated, she notes that her ring glimmers so much that it's like a spirit is inside of it. Now, this is interesting. This is not the first time that we've noticed this. Ellie specifically noticed it the first time. And pointing it out again, we wanted to just take a few seconds to talk about it because do we think that there is a spirit, like, inside the ring? It's very interesting that she says it literally sparkles like a starfall spirit is inside of it, and we know that the starfall people are the spirits that haven't made it over yet. Is it possible that one of Reese's ancestors that the ring has been passed down from again and again is literally inside the ring? Because we know it can't be his mom or his sister, seeing as how his mom is the one who put it in the cottage. So it would have to be somebody from further back than that. But it's just very interesting, very specific wording. Is it even possible that there would be a spirit inside the ring? Mm.
I think it is possible because okay, the reason why it stood out to me is because of the astronomer in Crescent City having the fire sprites, and I forgot the dragon lady's name, but the dragon lady's name in his ring. And I'm like, okay, so like we know in these world it is possible to keep spirits or like someone in jewelry. So I'm just like,
It's a good point.
no, that fucking means
Yeah,
something.
that is a really good point.
That fucking means something. It's just the question of
Yeah,
who.
who would it
Like,
be?
who will is this person? Is it someone that is potentially not a good person? Is it fucking Celine or Helena somehow? Is it because it's been in his line for so long? Is it her ancestor that we've been talking about? I don't fucking know. It could be so many people.
Yeah, that's actually, like, a really good point, but I don't know. Oof, oof.
It's another can of
Yeah, it's
worms.
just another it is just another can of worms, like, I don't know if I could think of specifically who would be in it. It's obviously it wouldn't be her dad, wouldn't be or his dad, it wouldn't be anybody who we would be have been mentioned in the story after the ring would have ended up at the Weaver's cottage, so it's who would be important enough to keep alive in a ring or keep their spirit alive this long and this far into the future unless with nobody knowing unless Reese does know. Because okay, one thing that I will say is if nothing else after Hofast, we know that Reese is keeping some secrets that we don't know
Mhm.
about yet. Because it is passed down from child to child about the whole dust court situation. Like it's not supposed to be like this hidden thing. It's supposed to be information that each of the high lords of the night court receives. So Reese knows some shit about some shit. And we know that he has the planet thing in his office and he has the priestesses looking into timelines in different worlds. I don't know. But when I find out what this guy is hiding or what he knows, I swear the revelation is going to just blow all of our minds because something's going on here. But all
Mhm.
right, we have a lot to think about after this episode. When this episode started, I would have told you that like all I would have been talking about was chapter 54. But holy shit, I feel like we got into some crazy stuff here, especially with the theories at the end. If you guys have any expanding or any ideas, thoughts on anything that we talked about, anything that would make sense to you or further the theories in any way, please let us know in the comments below. I'm sure we're going to talk about it on social media too, so feel free to let us know in the comments there. This was really fun. I'm like going to be thinking about some of these theories for the next couple days, like for real. And then, yeah, we hope that you guys did enjoy our discussion today. In our next episode, we will be finishing our coverage of A Court of Mist and Fury with chapters 61 through 69. As always, please email or DM us anything you'd like us to touch on relevant to those chapters or our upcoming episodes about Lightlark and Nightbane, which will be taking place after we finish Akamath. Finally, again, if you're still here with us, if you made it this far, then please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Or if you're listening on a podcast platform, please take the time to rate and review the podcast. Either way, please share us with your bookish friends. Give us a follow over on TikTok and Instagram. We have tons of content over there, tons of clips, reels. post about books we're reading, discussion forums, stories, all sorts of fun stuff, especially over on Instagram. So give us a follow over there, join the community. We appreciate you guys so much. We're so thankful and we have so much fun doing this. We can't wait to get into some of our other fantasy episodes that are coming up before we get back into the world of Akatar. So, with that being said, as always, I want to go ahead and leave you guys with a quote. My friend through many dangers, my lover who had healed my broken and weary soul, my mate who had waited for me against all hope, despite all odds. All right, guys. Bye.
Bye.